And now, to administer the oath of office, from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Thomas G. Saylor.
Governor, are you prepared to take the oath?
I am.
Would you please place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Tom Wolf.
I, Tom Wolf.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
That I will support, obey, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And the Constitution of this Commonwealth.
And that I will discharge the duties of my office.
And that I will discharge the duties of my office.
With fidelity.
With fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
People of Pennsylvania, the 47th Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf.
Thank you. Thank you. And first, and always first, I want to thank Frances and our two daughters, our wonderful daughters, Katie and Sarah. I love you, and I would not be here without you. I also want to thank Sarah and Katie's husbands, our sons-in-law, Joe and Jamie. I also want to thank Governors Ridge and Schweiker for being here and for your service to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'd also like to thank Chief Justice Saylor, Speaker Torzai, President Scarnati, Leader Cutler, Leader Dermody, Leader Corman, Leader Costa, and members of our Judiciary and General Assembly for being here, as well as all of the family, friends, and invited guests who have made today so special. I'd like to say a special thank you to Mike Stack for his hard work over the last 4 years. And I'd like to thank John Fetterman for his commitment to public service and for his friendship as we tackle the next 4 years as partners. Don't you think the necktie looks pretty good on John? Huh?
For you, Governor.
That's good. Most of all, I want to thank the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Thank you for the honor you have given me of serving as your governor. Thank you for the inspiration you provide me every day. Not too long ago, Frances and I got a call from our daughter, Sarah. She had really good news. After years of what she would probably call hectoring, but we would call gentle encouraging, she and her husband, Joe, were finally moving back to Pennsylvania. Now, when you have talented kids, and we do, Sarah's an architect, Joe, her husband, is a graphic designer, Katie's a geologist, and Jamie, her husband, is running his own business. You always run the risk that they're going to go off and do something great somewhere else. When I first took this oath 4 years ago, far too many parents across our state were worried that their kids would wind up moving away, that they would have to move away if they were going to find the quality of life they desired. That anxiety cuts to the core. That's not who we should be. We are not like any other state. Pennsylvania began as a holy experiment in tolerance and inclusion, and for more than 300 years, history has chosen us as its crucible. Pennsylvania is where America declared her independence. Pennsylvania is where our founders wrote not one, but 2 constitutions and sparked our nation's evolving political experiment with those truths we hold to be self-evident, but that we still seek to fully realize. Pennsylvania is where Lincoln came at America's most vulnerable moment to eulogize the heroes of Gettysburg and call for a new birth of freedom that we still seek to fully implement for all Americans. And history is still being written right here in Pennsylvania. You see, when you visit the world-class universities, you see that. You see it when you visit our teaching hospitals, where innovation is happening every day. You see it on the farms. You see it in the steel plants, where our great work ethic is on display. You see it when you trace our evolution from dirt tracks to canals to rivers to railroads to highways. Pennsylvania continues to be a place where history is made. So a big part of who we are as Pennsylvanians is the pride we have in where we're from. And we want to pass that pride down to our kids, like Sarah and Joe, so that they can instill it in their children the way our parents instilled it in us. But when I spoke to you for the first time as Pennsylvania's governor, I spoke of a Commonwealth at a crossroads. We were still proud of our storied past, but the future had never looked more uncertain. You could look around and see the causes of that anxiety. An economy struggling to keep pace with rapid change. Workers' wages not keeping up with the skyrocketing cost of living. A budget deficit that threatened our fiscal future. $1 billion shortfall in education funding that was crippling our public schools. We were mired in a crisis of confidence, and for good reason. Parents no longer felt like they could promise their kids that Pennsylvania had opportunities to offer them, that their lives would be better than their own. Business owners no longer felt that the soil from which great companies had long grown was still fertile. And citizens of this great Commonwealth no longer trusted that our leaders could find common ground. And frankly, after so many failures, we no longer trusted them to do much of anything. It wasn't a Republican or a Democratic thing. It was a simple lack of faith in Harrisburg's ability to solve problems in a way that put people first. Right here, in the birthplace of American democracy, many of us had come to the conclusion that no matter who we voted for, our government was simply broken beyond repair. Our continuous experiment in representative government embarked on by our founders became subject to doubt by far too many. That too many felt that the promise of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness had become out of reach for them. And because of that, the challenges that we faced seemed insurmountable. 4 years later, those challenges haven't disappeared. But we've proven that those problems really are not insurmountable. Pennsylvania has created more than 200,000 new jobs, good jobs that support families. We've improved more than 20,000 miles of roadways, restored 1,900 bridges. We've restored $1 billion to our schools and enacted a fair funding formula that made sure that our children and their opportunities are not restricted by their zip codes. We've turned a $2.5 billion deficit into a surplus. We made the first deposit in our rainy day fund in over a decade. We've expanded Medicaid to cover 720,000 Pennsylvanians. And we've increased the enrollment in the CHIP program so that it now serves nearly 180,000 children. We've gotten more than 4,200 homeless veterans off the streets and into permanent housing. And we have helped tens of thousands of seniors and people with disabilities to get care in their homes. The graduation rate is up. The uninsured rate is down. Pre-K enrollment is up. Crime is down. We've got more people working. We've got fewer people in prison. And while we've had plenty of fierce arguments in Harrisburg, that hasn't stopped Democrats and Republicans from working together to do things like legalize medical marijuana, modernize our liquor system, make our pets safer, pass comprehensive pension reform that puts our fiscal future on a sounder footing. Our differences, well, they haven't stopped us from putting down a down payment on criminal justice reform with the Clean Slate Bill, the first in the United States, instituting new protections against domestic violence and passing the first gun safety law in decades. Look, we all come to public service with convictions that we know we can't compromise. I know I certainly do. And I know my friends in the legislature do as well. So sometimes we will disagree. And sometimes we will agree to disagree forever. But that doesn't have to stop us from sometimes working together to make progress for Pennsylvania where we have common ground. As Leader Corman said, we are not like Washington. We can work together here in Harrisburg. We can get things done. My fellow Pennsylvanians, we've gone from a Commonwealth at a crossroads to a Commonwealth on a comeback. And today, even as we reflect on our pride in the Pennsylvania we inherited from our parents, we can look forward to the future with renewed hope that we will leave an even better Pennsylvania for our children. Now, I would like to take credit for that. And actually, while we're at it, I'd like to take credit for the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. For Villanova winning the Final Four twice. And for the Penguins bringing home the Stanley Cup twice. But the accomplishments of the last 4 years aren't my accomplishments. They're our accomplishments. Pennsylvanians have earned the right to feel optimistic about our future. And as we look forward to the next 4 years, I want us to be ambitious in imagining the Pennsylvania we can build together. A Pennsylvania where we continue to invest in our schools, where we continue to rebuild our infrastructure, where we continue to lead in research and development, where we continue to prioritize opportunity and prosperity for all of our communities and all of our children, where we don't wait around for Amazon to move here because we're going to build the next Amazon right here. A Pennsylvania where we don't just have enough to take care of our own, but where we have enough to take care of each other. Where people living in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh understand the importance of our agricultural sector and the needs of our rural communities. Where people living in Tioga County appreciate the power of our world-class cities. Where the business community recognizes the value of an energy policy that protects our environment while it creates good jobs. Where we attack the opioid crisis that has taken so many from so many families. A Pennsylvania where we don't just fondly recall William Penn's commitment to tolerance and the founder's civic spirit and Lincoln's political courage, but where we seek to emulate these heroes and reflect their values in our own time. Where we reform a criminal justice system that treats African Americans and the poor unjustly. Where we stand as one to stop discrimination against the LGBTQ community. Where we commit to a process that makes our elections fairer, and where we give every Pennsylvanian the same chance to determine our shared future. I know this sounds like a lot to ask in a divided Harrisburg. And the truth is that none of this is possible without trust. And that's why I've made transparency and ethics reform a top priority. I've implemented a gift ban, refusing to take a salary, cutting waste and red tape from government, and saving billions in taxpayer money. But while I continue this fight to make Harrisburg work for all of you, I'm not going to stand up here and ask you to forget about the lack of trust that came before. Some stains do take a long time to wash away. So I am not asking Pennsylvanians to trust me or any other politician in Harrisburg. I'm asking them to trust themselves, because that's where I put my faith every day I wake up with the privilege of holding this office. Last October, on what was unquestionably the toughest day I've had in this office, Francis and I were in Beaver County when we got the news about the shooting at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. We raced the 45 minutes to the scene, but all I could do was share in the grief and agony of that horrible day. I remember seeing Mike Torzai and Jay Costa there, and in that moment, we weren't Republicans or Democrats, and for that matter, they weren't legislative leaders, and I wasn't the governor. We were just like everyone else, feeling helpless and heartbroken. But in the days that followed, the people of Pennsylvania lifted us all up. Law enforcement officers who had responded to the scene continued to do their jobs with the courage and grace and professionalism that makes them heroes. High school students from Taylor Alderdice organized an interfaith vigil that night, and more than 3,000 people showed up. The head of the local Islamic society offered to provide guards to stand watch so people could feel safe while they grieved the dead at memorial services in their synagogues. Thousands came from all across Pennsylvania to lay stones and show solidarity. I am so grateful to you, Rabbi Myers, that you could be with us here today. Your leadership and your strength, along with so many others, showed us the way to move forward. We all came together. We all did what we could. We all leaned on each other. We all found the strength to carry on, and that's who we are. That's the Pennsylvania I grew up in. That's the Pennsylvania Francis and I raised our family in. And that's the Pennsylvania we should all want. Way back in 1749, Ben Franklin was sitting on the dock in Philadelphia watching thousands of people stream off the ships from Europe, mostly from Germany. Franklin wrote that he was worried about whether Pennsylvania could survive the arrival of so many German immigrants. Now, Ben Franklin was right about a lot of things, but not about this. He should have had more faith in Pennsylvania. And I'm not just saying this because he was talking about my ancestors. Throughout its history, Pennsylvania has never been defined by one ethnicity or one religion or one ideology or one region. We have always been diverse, and we've always been at the epicenter of change. From the American Revolution to the Civil War, to the Industrial Revolution, from the days of steel and coal to the days of innovation and technology, Pennsylvania has been asked to adapt to change and respond to challenges time and time again. And that's not our curse, it's our blessing. Our ability to come together again and again across whatever boundaries may divide us and renew this great political experiment for another generation, that's what made Pennsylvania the place I am so proud to be from. Now we're challenged again, challenged to reimagine our workforce for a new century so that more of our children can find opportunity right here in Pennsylvania. Challenged to protect the progress we've made in restoring our schools and our fiscal security. Challenged to keep making our state stronger and fairer and more prosperous. I am ready to do my part, but today I'm asking you, the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to do your part as well. In this last election, we saw increased voter turnout in all 67 counties, but voting is not enough to end your responsibility to help shape our future. It's just the beginning. It's long past time that we rediscover democracy together. Because if we're going to build the kind of trust we need to make progress in Harrisburg, if we're going to renew our faith in Pennsylvania's future, it won't come from me or anyone else on this stage. It'll come from you, the people of this great Commonwealth. So today, I ask you to choose hope over hopelessness, empathy over apathy. I ask you to choose action over passivity. I ask you to take the future of the Commonwealth, of our Commonwealth, into your hands, into your own hands, and help lead us forward. My fellow Pennsylvanians, we are no longer stuck at a crossroads. We have chosen a path of progress. We have earned the right to feel not just proud of our past, but hopeful for our future. So let us have faith in each other. Let us have faith in what we can fix together and what we can achieve together and what we can build together. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.